Hi, N6ARA here, and this is the introduction video to the TinyPaddle jack, otherwise known as the TPJ. The TPJ is sold in three forms. You can either purchase it as a kit, as an assembled unit, or an assembled unit with a cable. Now, if you purchase the kit website has the instructions for how to put it together. This comes in a nice little carry tube. It includes the TinyPaddle itself and a little adjuster tool and some glue that's necessary in a few of the steps. If you follow our instructions, your final product should look something like this. It's the carry tube with the TinyPaddle inside that's nicely assembled. And now what you could do with this is you can either mount it directly to your radio, 3D print your own fixtures or holders. Really, we wanted to give the customer the option to do whatever they'd like with just the bare minimum hardware. You also have this little adjuster tool, which I'll talk about shortly here and how to use it. Now, if you purchase the kit and you'd like it to be similar to the assembled unit, you can go to the kit website and there should be a link to download the 3D files for these, the holder and the cover. We do, however, also offer these all printed, ready for customers to buy. You can bundle that up with your kit when you purchase. And to install it, it's really simple. All you need to do is take the connector side, place it into the holder, press in. And what I like to do is press it against a table and push down. And it should friction fit right in and not move around. And so to store it, you can put it inside the cover and you're good to go. You can toss this in your bag and break it out if you have any problems, or if you have a super light kit, that should really help you bring down the weight of your pack. And then to use it, all you simply need to do is rotate it and install it the opposite way. We have this little notch here. We use that typically to see if the holder is fully seated into the cover. If you see daylight through that, it means you haven't pushed in all the way, and if you kind of push all the way, it should click and stop and not move around, and you should be able to use your paddles just fine. The assembled unit will come with the TinyPaddle, the holder, the cover, and this little snap-on adjuster. You don't necessarily have to keep these two together. We just give you that option so you could easily snap this on and carry it in your bag. But you could always put it aside when you're not using it, or however you'd like. Now, one thing to note here that's really important is the clearance for the headphone jack connector. If you're to put this in the other way for how it's going to be used, it's kind of hard to see, but there's not a whole lot of space in there. And so we've identified a couple of different headphone cables that would, or 3.5 millimeter cables that will work with this, that have a small enough outer diameter that'll fit. Alternatively, if you're really in a crunch and you want to use this as a backup, you can always just plug in any sort of paddle cable, 3.5 millimeter audio jack cable to your TinyPaddles and operate this way. But we thought it'd be kind of nice to have something that's a little bit bigger and easier to hold on to and slightly more ergonomic in your time of need for backup paddles or lightweight paddles. So what I'll do here now is actually demonstrate to you how this all works. So I'm going to turn on my Morse-Arino here. You can hook this up to your radio or practice with a side tone generator. So to use this, simply take the TinyPaddle out of its protective case, fish the cable through the case, connect it to the TinyPaddle, and then slide the TinyPaddle in. And so now you've got your TinyPaddles going. Pretty sweet, right? Now, these aren't perfect. Sometimes things can get bumped around, and they're little metal tabs that are making contact and bending ever so slightly to make to close the contacts between the DIT and DAW side. So if these, sometimes what can happen, I'll demonstrate it right now with the little adjuster tool, is let's say the metal's bent just enough to cause, you see now it's just making a bunch of DAWs, right? That means the metal is pressing down against it, closing the circuit, and it's just going to be making these annoying DAWs. So what you can do is slide this tool through and slightly bend it back, and it should be good to go. Same thing can obviously happen to the dit side, or sometimes it could be that the paddle is too far out, and when you try to press down on it, it doesn't make the sound. You really have to put a lot of effort into it. So to overcome that, all you really need to do is the same thing, slide the tool through the brass and just rotate it. And it should, see now it's still a little stiff, right? We can keep going. We can kind of, there we go. Might need a little readjustment there. Sweet, right? If you purchase the assembled unit with the cable, you'll notice that it comes with a slightly different adjuster tool. It has a custom sized clip-on, so you can just clip it to your cables and it can sort of live there. All right, so that is the N6ARA TinyPaddle jack. We hope you enjoy it. Always feel free to share pictures with us on Twitter, N6ARA Electronic, or just send us an email to support@n6ara.com. We'd love to see these in the field and to get your thoughts on it. Thanks so much. 7-3.